topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
Welcome to Aging Like a Badass, where wrinkles aren't the problem, they're the solution. I'm Kimberly Price, your 40-something host and founder of Aging Like a Badass, who, like many of you, is dead smack in the middle of an anti-aging crisis. So stick around and I'll show you the raw, real, and outrageous tips, tricks, and truths about aging like a badass, because wrinkles aren't the problem, they're the solution.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Excited you're here. I'm Kimberly Price, the host of Aging Like a Badass, and we have some exciting things happening in today's show. So if you're tuned in here live, welcome to the show. And I have an amazing guest and friend here with me today. She is a relationship expert and the co-owner or co-founder, I should say, of Heart's Desire International. She's an expert in love and relationships and helping women feel empowered to become the best version of themselves so they can attract and live out the relationship they have always dreamed of. Give a warm welcome to Michelle Roza. Hey, friend, how are you? Can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
I can. Welcome
Awesome.
today. I'm excited that you're here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh my goodness. I'm going to have my dog barking in the background. Apologies. He likes to be here. I may have to let him out. Hold on 1 second. 1 second.
It's real life happening. I love it.
Okay. These are the things we get to deal with when you do these things in your home. Oh, well, I'm excited that you're here. We get to talk about your winning strategies for love and relationships. And you've got an amazing event coming up, which we're going to also get into, and would love for you to just start off and share a little bit about you and your business and what you're doing, and we'll go from there.
Sure. So I have been a dating and relationship love coach for over 15 years. I co-founded the company with my twin sister, Gladys. We're known as the Love Twins, and we have clients all over the world, in every corner of the world, who are thriving now in their romantic relationships because they've learned how to break through what we call love barriers. That's what we're really great at, supporting women with, breaking through the love barriers that are blocking the love in the relationship that you want to experience, whether you're in a relationship or not. Sometimes we're in a relationship where we're still not experiencing what we want to experience. And so we do that through our trademarked methodology, which is the heart work methodology, where we get down to the root of what created this barrier in the first place. You know, the barrier is a fear, it's a limiting belief, it's a doubt, a story, it's a dysfunctional pattern that keeps repeating itself over and over and over in your romantic life. And by getting to the root of it, not just the understanding of it, we're able to then dismantle it and replace it with something that actually has you be able to attract, create, and keep for a lifetime the kind of love that you want. So that's what we're up to in the world. We are super excited about our event coming up, and I can't wait to talk to you about that. And, I'm just so honored to be here with you, Kim. I know how committed you are to making a difference in the world. And as we get older, I mean, especially, well, not even as we get older, in the world. And then as we get older, I love that tagline, wrinkles are not the problem, they're the solution. I love it because it's something that we hear a lot, as women start getting into their late 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, which we have clients in all those age brackets. They start to wonder, is it too late? Has my time passed? Am I ever really going to experience the love that my heart desires? And we're here to say, yes, you can.
And I can give testament to that. These ladies are, you are on fire with, just hitting, it's hard work. We've worked together on things and I'm going to say it's not easy work, but it's fulfilling and, the joy that it brings. And if you're willing, to do the work to get there, it's so worth it. So worth
Mm,
it. And I think on the other side of it, a lot of women don't even understand what they can have, you
right.
know. So we read books when we're little girls about, being swept away on a white horse and, all of these fairy tale, type romances. And the reality is that you can have that.
Yeah, you can actually have the relationship you want. You just have to know, one, how to distinguish like what's created out there. And we say this all the time. Like, first of all, reality TV is not real, but it gives us a lot of really good material to train on. But the other thing is you can have a realistic dream about what you want to experience, not based on what somebody else wrote in a movie or what you heard in a book. I mean, because a lot of the women that come work with us, they have read all the books, they've seen all the blogs, they've watched all the videos, and they're still not experiencing it. And then they have this unrealistic expectation that it's supposed to just happen. And this is one of the biggest blocks that we see with women. It's like, we wouldn't expect, if you're a business owner and you've never owned a business before, you wouldn't expect to just know how to do that.
Right.
And so you take courses and you learn about it, and then you take coaching on it so that you can have the best result. A lot of us didn't grow up in environments where we saw the example of what a happy, healthy relationship was supposed to be. And even if we did, just watching somebody else do it doesn't necessarily give you the skills to be able to do it.
Yeah.
So when you can let go of the unrealistic expectations and really get connected to what you really want to experience, not the kind of man you want to have, because when we focus on the man, we give away all our power. That's why women get scared, and then they attach to the first one that shows up, or they turn the one that's not it and convince themselves that they are, because there's this scarcity thought. But it's not about the man. There's not just one man that's perfect for you out there. There are millions of men that could be perfect for you if they're a match for your vision and your values. So being able to let go of the expectation, but get really clear on what is the experience I want to have when I am in this relationship. Who do I want to experience myself as first? And then what do I want to experience with a partner? Now, all of a sudden, you have a real life romance that can match up with any Hallmark Channel movie. And it can last a lifetime. And when you learn the skills, like communication, relationship skills, dating skills, now you're creating a foundation there where you can build on with this other person.
That's great. That's great. So you and I have known each other for some time. We were friends first, and then we worked together, and Michelle was my coach, amazing coach. And then, now we've, friends again. Tell me a little bit, because there's been this gap of time through the pandemic when things, were happening in relationships. And tell me what the differences were for individuals. Did it open things up? Did it close things down? Talk a little bit about that. What's been happening in the world since, COVID?
Wow. So everything has changed in the world of dating. I mean, our clients already knew how to virtual date because we were teaching them how to do virtual dating, so that they would feel more comfortable after they've learned, talk to them for a while on the app and then talk to them on the phone, that they could meet the person and have some of those nerves that come up when you don't really know, is this person going to look like I thought they were going to look? Are they going to like the way that I look? So in that sense, our clients were already doing that, but dating has changed dramatically. What happened during the pandemic is that, and I'll talk specifically about dating and then we can talk about relationships.
Yeah.
In the world of dating, what happened is that all the distractions that were keeping people from recognizing just really how single they were, they were all gone. And what happened is people really confronted what they felt, not necessarily loneliness, although many felt that, but the sense of being alone and going through something that was so challenging for all of us as a world, going through that on their own and feeling isolated and not having all those other things that used to keep them busy. And so what happened was people got very clear about how much they really wanted to be in a relationship, where maybe in the past they had been denying that desire because they were so distracted. So that's one of the things that changed. The other thing that changed is and this is not just what we experienced in our community, although this is research that's been done over the last couple of years. People got very connected to what they really value in life. because all the things they thought they valued weren't there.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a time where there was a lot of fear about, were we all going to be okay? Was the world ever going to go back to the way it was? Which I still don't think it's gone completely.
Nope.
And so what happened was the value of being in a great, healthy, happy, lifelong relationship went up. And then another major thing that happened, and this was through a survey that Match.com did, they found that for the first time ever, physical attraction was always the number one thing singles were looking for in a partner. And for the first time ever, the number one thing that trumped physical attraction, which came in at 78%, was being with a partner who's emotionally mature.
Wow.
It came in at 83%.
Wow.
So now more than ever, having the skills to be able to process your emotions, notice when you're in a thought that's not really real. When are you reacting to something that happened in the past? Are you making something up right now that isn't really happening? And getting clear about what is it that you value in yourself, in your partner, in your relationship. Those are the things that have become the most important for people who are looking for relationships. And we've seen it happen even in people with existing relationships. In our community, we didn't have one divorce, one separation, nothing. Our clients grew closer because they had the skills to work through the conversations when, again, all the distractions are gone. You've got to deal with what you haven't dealt with. So those are some of the things that we experienced since the pandemic started.
So essentially, you're helping women build their toolbox. And then you're providing or showing them the tools and how to use them in, whether it's in dating or it's in the current relationships they're in or in building relationships. And then they can access those tools at any time to bring them back to whatever area it is that they're in, because we're constantly growing, right? So we learn all of this, but we're going to keep transforming and growing. So we have to keep going back into that toolbox and pulling those things out.
Absolutely. We like to refer to it as the makeup kit. So
there you go. Okay. I did the guide thing.
Well, imagine if you were going to try to use a mascara as blush, it just wouldn't work.
Right.
And if you don't have the right brush to put on the ladies know what I'm talking about, to put on, on the upper lid rather than the main lid, then what's going to happen is it's not going to work. The look is not going to work, and you're not going to feel confident. You're not going to feel beautiful. You're not going to feel powerful. And so what we do is we give you not just the tools to use or the brushes to use to create the canvas you want, but also understand why that's important and why what you've been doing in the past hasn't worked. And really getting even underneath, like, why do I do that? So many times we hear women say, I know that this is my pattern. For example, I know that I keep attracting unavailable men. I just don't know how to stop doing that. I don't know how to stop that. And it's because the what's on the surface isn't really connected to what's going on underneath that has you be attracted to men who are attracted to women. Well, to have you attract those kind of men and those men be attracted to you, there's something there inside a belief. There's an energy you're carrying that has that be a match. When you can break that, then you start attracting something that's a match for what you really want.
I love that. And I love, you and I have talked a lot about this idea of, I kept thinking of the word awakening. It's almost as if, we had we had a global awakening for sure. But there's been this awakening of our hearts. Our hearts are opening up to the things that we need, the desires that we have. And when we have that, we can't shut that door again. And we have to be able to walk forward. And that's what you're helping people do, is walk forward in the desires. So we're not able to be asleep at the wheel anymore.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. Awakening is actually the name of the client retreat we're doing next month. So I love that came up. And it's exactly that. It's waking up to what you truly desire and waking up out of the unreality that was going on. Because a lot of times we're reacting to things that aren't even happening. We're reacting to something that happened when we were 5, but we don't know that. And even if we know that, we don't know how to break the pattern. Then how do we do anything different? And it's been such a beautiful awakening. I mean, this has been, for us, we're beyond happy. Happy doesn't even capture it. We've had in the last 9 weeks, just to give you an example of what's changed. In the last 9 weeks, we've supported women in creating 13 committed relationships, 3 wedding engagements, 3 weddings, and we have another wedding coming up in 2 weeks. That is the momentum that women are gaining. And we're talking about women who are in all age brackets. We have one client who was married last year in November, 67 years old, got married, had never been married before, and was able to break free from whatever was holding her back from that. And her husband are such a match on every level. Everything that she wanted and desired, she has. She writes to us, I'm not kidding, almost every month saying, I woke up today again pinching myself. I can't believe I'm in this amazing relationship. And so there's this, right now is the time to really, if you haven't woken up yet, or you have woken up but you've been unsure about how do you do it, this is the time to get connected with, if it's not us, somebody else. But for sure, we'd love to work with anyone who wants to be in the relationship of their dreams and just hasn't figured out what is it that's there in the way. And sometimes you were saying it's hard work. We actually call it heart work, not hard work. What's hard is giving up the resistance to looking there. Because a lot of times we think that not having the relationship, or not being in a healthy relationship, or having a history of poor relationships means something about us. And so we resist looking there because we're afraid of what we're going to uncover. But the truth is, there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. There's just something you don't see, that once you get access to it and you know what to do with it, then you're free to transform it. And so, I really believe that this is a time where, by this time, I mean, the majority of our clients and I'm not making this up, this is statistical, within 90 days, they're in the relationship with their dreams once they start working with us. That means that somebody listening to this who really has a desire to be in the relationship with their dreams could be in the relationship with their dreams by the end of this year. Anywhere from 3 months to 9 months, and it's happening repeatedly over and over again. And it's not hard once you have the guidance. You know, it's really hard. It's hard to try and figure something out on your own.
100%.
Believe me, I did that for 5 years after a 12.5-year dysfunctional marriage, 5 years of unsuccessful dating, repeating the same kind of patterns. It's kind of like attracting the same guy in a different body over and over and over again. That was hard. I had no guidance. I had nobody to point me in. I was looking over here when I need to be looking over here. That can be hard. And it's also hard trying to force somebody to feel something or commit to something that they're not ready to commit to. That's hard. But looking at ourselves can feel challenging. But in that challenge, or in that discomfort, what's really happening is you're stretching and you're growing into the woman, into the man that you want to be in the relationship that you've always wanted. So that part of it, that's why, you believe in coaching, and I was your coach and then you were my coach. All right. To deal with my own, like, aging like a badass stuff. And I didn't know what I didn't know until I started working with you. And so working with somebody who's already been through it and have made the mistakes and then have been able to figure it out, that makes it so much easier.
It does.
The process can be very quick once you have, you know what to do and how to do it and the order to do it in.
Yeah. I think it's great having a coach is something we want to project so much outside of ourselves, and we want to look at everything around us as if it's not working instead of looking inside ourselves. And a coach really helps us focus on, what are the things you can do? What are the things you can change? What is this, I talk a lot about perspective, and it being, the life that we have centers around the perspective that we keep. And what does that look like? And so having a coach is just a constant reminder to the things that, we all have patterns, things we're stuck in, things we don't recognize, like you said. And so it's recognizing those and then having someone there lovingly, someone you can trust that can keep holding your hand and saying, okay, you're back in that same pattern again. Remember, we talked about this. So I think it's key.
That is such a great thing to focus in on that perspective, because what happens, and just to take it to another level here. So you have a perspective, and we all know that we see life through a particular perspective. Well, we don't know that. Some people don't realize you're actually seeing life through a perspective. The thing that's so important to understand is that whatever your perspective is, your actions are going to be an automatic match for it. So whatever it is that you have a perspective on, your view of life, your view of yourself, your view of men, of women, of relationships, whatever that is, your actions will be a direct match for that perspective. And that's why it's so automatic.
Yep.
And that's why it just seems like that's how I am, who I am, the way it is. And it's not. It's that way based on that perspective.
Yeah.
So when you can shift out of the limiting perspective that's giving you the results you don't want, and you can get connected with and create a new perspective when all that stuff is pushed out of the way and you're left with a blank canvas. Well, what is it that I do want to, how do I want to show up in relationships? How do I want to show up in the relationship with myself first? And then how is that going to attract in another partner? And now that perspective, your actions will be a direct match for that. And someone who's attracted to that and that energy is going to be attracted to you. And so I love that whole thing about perspective, because every action you take is a perfect 100% match for your perspective. So if you're taking actions that are the opposite of what it is that you want, it's not just about, okay, I'm just going to think the opposite. No, you've actually got to do the work so that authentically at your core, you're being this new perspective. And that's how you're operating in life.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So I want to take a kind of a side turn here just for a minute, and then I want to talk about the irresistible women and what your goals are. But I want you to talk about, so Michelle is a twin. Her sister Gladys is the other. They co-founded this company together, this mission together. They work together. So tell me, how did the two of you come to this point of, looking at each other in the eye at some point and going, okay, this is what we want to do? Is it because you're twins? Like, is this a genetic hardwired DNA thing, or actually, is it an experience? Tell me about it.
Yeah, it's not a genetic thing, because if you look at our past, Gladys and I, we grew up with a lot of, like many of the people probably watching and listening, a lot of traumatic events happened. At the age of 3, we lost our dad. Our mom was 27-year-old widow with 2 baby girls, moved us to Florida. My biological father's family followed us here, and then my mom fell in love again, and she got married. She had my younger sister, Angie, and then 6 years into that marriage, or 7 years, that was not working. It was dysfunctional. It was all kinds of dysfunction was happening, and my mom wasn't happy, and she got divorced. Well, that was now a second. My stepdad was like my dad. He never ever treated us any different than he treated Angie, and so that was another loss of another man in my life. And then my grandfather died, and that was another loss. And then my mom remarried. And this time, in her 3rd marriage, she married somebody who had mental illness, who was physically abusive to her on an almost daily basis towards the end, and an alcoholic. My mom became an alcoholic. So we're growing up in a very violent and dysfunctional environment again. And so throughout all that, unbeknownst to us, just like unbeknownst to all of us as we're growing up, we were making decisions about who we were, what our worth was, what love was about. And all of this was getting implanted in our subconscious mind. And so by the time I'm 17, at 15, we had to be removed from our home. So that's another loss, right? My mom, we got separated from her, went to live with my uncle, my aunt. And then Gladys goes off to college, and I experienced another loss. So there was a lot of experience of loss in my life. I get pregnant in 17. To my high school sweetheart. And right from the beginning of the marriage, like 2 weeks in, there was something he said, like, shut the F up in front of people. And I was like, what did I get myself into? Like, I knew enough to know that we were in the honeymoon phase. And that just like kind of just kept going for 12 and a half years. No matter how hard we tried, no matter what we did, We just didn't get along. We were not a good match for one another. We were very disrespectful on both ends. And I, by the end of it, was working 3 jobs to help pay for everything because that wasn't happening on the other side. So I share all this with you because that's what it looked like for me as a child and into my, young womanhood. And then Gladys went to college, got married to her high school sweetheart, who we knew since we were in kindergarten. And then 7 years later, he died of cancer. So you have at 30, I'm divorced. At 27, Gladys is widowed. And all of that would have never, ever, ever indicated to you that we would be relationship coaches.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like the opposite. And
Right.
what happened was after 5 years after my divorce, I was still experiencing heartache, attracting unavailable men, attracting men who had addiction issues. There was always some other woman hanging out in the background and having a fight for that. And at some point, I hit rock bottom. And I said, I'm not doing this anymore. Like, why can't, like, what's wrong with me was the question. What is wrong with me that I can't attract one man who wants to spend the rest of his life with me, who's in a good place? And everything else in my life was going awesome. I was getting accolades at work. I kept getting promoted. My kids were thriving. My friendships and my family relationships were thriving. But this area of love, I was failing. And I knew I was failing and I couldn't figure it out. And then one day I was talking to a coach. And I was sharing all of this with him and this pattern of men. And he said, well, what do those men have in common? I said, well, they're liars, they're cheaters, and they don't know what they want. And I said that the same way that I say, my name is Michelle Roza, and I live in Miami, Florida. And I didn't realize just how automatic it was. That's what was in the background for me about men. And he said, well, what else do they have in common? I said, well, they're men. And he's like, okay, other than biology. And he kept asking me this question and I couldn't see it because that's what happens. We're looking here and the answer's here. And I said, could you just please tell me, I can tell you can see it. I can't see it. Just what do you see? And he said, well, Michelle, these 5 men, what these 5 strangers have in common is you. You're the common denominator.
I just got chills.
Oh my gosh. I didn't do that day. And then I wanted to punch him, but he was right. And he said, there's something that's having you be attracted to them. Now, here's the thing. You keep asking yourself, what's wrong with me? There's nothing wrong with you. A better question would be, what is it that has me be attracted to men like that and has men like that be attracted to me? And that question changed my life forever because I just became obsessed with breaking that apart. Like, what is it that has me be attracted to the same guy over and over and over again? What am I trying to prove? What am I afraid of? What is it that is so ingrained in me that has me do the very thing that I know is not going to work over and over again? And that's how the heart work got created. It was through my own transformational process. And then the ladies who were in my life, my friends, saw that I was no longer attracting men like that. And if I did, I was ready to say, no, thank you, I'm not interested. And when I fell in love with Arnie, who's now my husband, and he wasn't ready to be in a committed relationship, for the first time ever, I said to him, I'm really starting to fall for you. And I know that I love you, but I love myself more. So I'm going to stop dating you. And we're not going to be friends with benefits and any of that. I'm going to stop dating you. And I'm going to make sure that I can attract and create my extraordinary relationship. And I did. I learned how to date. I learned how to date multiple men. And 5 months later, on his own, without me having to say or do anything, he came back and he said, I know you're seeing somebody else, but will you give me another chance? Yes. And
here you are.
Yeah, my friend's like, how could you walk away from him? You seem so like you were still empowered. You weren't falling apart. And that's when I said, I value myself and I know what I want. I'm so crystal clear on it that it's not about a man. It's about what I want to experience and what I know I am worth and what I deserve. And then my friend asked me, will you do a workshop for single women? And I said, yes. And then we did that. And 3 engagements came out of that. 3 relationships and 1 engagement. Then the next one, we did another group, another engagement and 3 more relationships. And then Gladys came in as the mentor and we had to start opening up programs for married, for girlfriends and wives because we had so many women getting married that needed guidance after that. And that's how this started. It started with my own transformation and not being willing to keep that secret to myself and wanting to share it with other women. And then Gladys also, you know, she was like, we get to share this with the world. Like we get to transform love in the world. And that's how it started.
I love it. It's funny because we've known each other quite a while and I didn't know all the pieces to that story. So I sit here as like, I'm like, as a viewer myself, which is always, it's always so special, you know, having this time with my friends and getting to share, you know, this with the, because you always learn just a little something, you know, if you listen and in the right moment. So the overarching whole story, yes, but there's little details in there that I didn't know. So thank you for sharing that. That's awesome.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome.
And what I love about moving into your event and the Irresistible Women's, you know, event that you're going to be holding, I have to say, so I was a part of your, I think it was last fall when I was a part of your event. You said something to me that has, or not to me, you said it to the audience, but it really, really stuck with me, that you can have the, and I'm not going to say it the way you did, but it was impactful in that I think about it a lot. And it's hard for women to really get into that place of truly, and I don't mean thinking it, knowing it. I mean, being it in your heart that you are enough, that everything about you is enough, that there's nothing wrong with you. You know, God created you with these amazing and very special and unique gifts. It's why you're here. You're here to share those with the world. And the outside pressure of the world and the voices that we hear and the noise and the media and all the things, they don't get to weigh in on that.
That's right.
And we have to have this. I think it's why it's so important to, one, start with a coach for your personal transformation, and then get into a group of women that continue to feed that and fill you up and remind you of who you are. And you don't have to be anybody else, and you don't get to be anybody else. You get to be you. And so what you said was that you remember, it was something like you remember the moment, and I know I've said this to you before, but you remember the moment that you got to walk down the street and be this irresistible woman, in the sense that in every way, everybody that passed you by, it was this sense of not arrogance. Well, I didn't hear anything like that. It was this confident, powerful, passionate, loving, amazing, like every cool, powerful adjective that we could use, that you could be in that. And that was such, you know, a powerful thing to hear, that we can walk out of our homes, or we can walk around in our homes, and we can be that every single day.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I totally remember saying that. I remember saying that, and I say it all the time because that is what happens when you discover who you really are, not given by what others have told you, or what your mistakes tell you, or what you made it mean when you made that wrong decision, or what the teacher in third grade told you. But you actually get connected underneath all of that by doing the hard work to release all of that. What happens is your true irresistible essence emerges, which has always been there with us. We were born with it, and then stuff happened and it got smushed down. And what happens is every layer of the heart work that you do that releases and opens you up, you will get connected to that. And this is why the women, women say, how can they do that in 3 months? How do they do that? How do they, it's been 67 years, 40 of them, this woman wasn't married. How was she able to do that in a 6-month period? And it's because the heart work will get you so connected to who you really are, and who you've always known you are, and why you feel so frustrated and in a struggle with yourself about it. And then you have this experience of total and complete love for yourself that radiates from you. It just radiates from you, and you're walking around the world being all those beautiful things that you shared. And for some people, it's going to be feeling powerful. For some people, it's going to be feeling beautiful. That was one of the first ones that emerged for me, where beauty became something that wasn't how I looked, but it was how I felt and how I interacted and how I saw myself from the inside out.
Yeah.
That's the power of transformation. That can happen in 3 days. That can totally happen in 3 days when you're looking at the places where it matters and when you're ready. It takes readiness. You could sit in front of any coach. You could sit in front of the Dalai Lama, and if you're not ready, he's not going to make a difference.
That's right. That's 100% right.
But the readiness is the first step. The willingness is the second step. And then the third step is surrendering to the coaching so you can have the breakthrough. And when you do that, then the transformation, I mean, it happens in an instant. It doesn't happen over time. Transformation happens in an instant. And then you get the tools to continue to expand on that transformation so that you have it forever. We have women in our community who are still in our community, still connected with us all the time, are coming back to the Irresistible Woman Life for the 5th time in their life, that have been with us from the very beginning because they're so inspired by the change that happened in them, and it's not enough for them, just like it wasn't for us, that they're the only ones who get to have it. And they keep coming back also so that they keep growing and evolving, because we're never and we're never there. And it's not like because there's something wrong with us. We're never there because we're always looking for next level.
Yes. Yes, 100%. So let's dive into the Irresistible Women's event. What is it? When is it? Let's talk about it.
The Irresistible Woman Live is happening next weekend, September 16th through the 18th. It's a virtual event, so you don't have to get on a plane and go anywhere. You're there right in the comfort of your home. It's 3 full days of complete and total transformation. And what we're going to be talking about is how you can stop feeling let down by men. So one of the things that we know is that we attract women who are strong, ambitious, driven women. And one of the things that they are challenged with is that they feel like men are intimidated by them. And so what we're going to be talking about in the Irresistible Woman Live is how does a strong, powerful, ambitious, driven woman, smart woman, strong woman, attract a man who's going to champion her in her vision and what matters to her, and she champion him as well. What do we get to do? What do we get to get out of the way so that can happen? Because quality men are not intimidated by high quality women. And so if you keep attracting the low quality men and the low quality men, you get to move that out of the way. So what happens is then you start attracting a man who's inspired by your success and not intimidated by it. One who wants to be part of co-creating that life. I don't know, I'm hearing some background noise. Are you hearing some background noise?
Yes, it's the dog scratching at my door.
I just want to make sure.
I'm not going to let him in though, because he'll bark again. So he's going to have to stay out.
So it's all right. It's okay. I just want to make sure everything was okay. So what we're going to do on day 1 is you're going to learn how to master your thoughts so you can create the love that you want. We're going to uncover the things that you're doing that are sabotaging your love life. And you're going to learn the secret to becoming a magnetic, confident, and irresistible woman. You're on day 2, we're going to start doing some of the heart work to open up your heart to the power of love. You're going to learn the actual skills and practices that create immediate and lasting results. You will walk in to day 2 with a fear that you're experiencing and walk out free from that fear, completely and totally. It's an amazing day. And you're going to be able to open up your heart and your life for extraordinary love to come in. Because a lot of us don't realize that we're blocking it out. We think that it's something's happening outside of us. It's never happening outside of us. It's happening from the inside out. And then on day 3, you're going to learn how to become the irresistible woman that the right man for you can absolutely not resist. We're going to teach you communication skills. We're also going to have spread out within the 3 days specific sections where we're going to separate the single women so that they have specific coaching on dating, on what that looks like, how to know when you're in a relationship so you stop acting like you are and then end up getting heartbroken. And then the ladies who are in relationships, our girlfriends, our fiancés, and our wives, are going to have specific coaching on skills on how to keep elevating the love, intimacy, and passion in their relationship. So day 3, it all comes together where you'll be leaving there completely confident in your power to manifest the life and the love that your heart desires. So that's happening in just, what's today? Thursday? Oh my God, it starts in 8 days.
It's coming up. So I put the I think I spelled it right on the screen for women to see. So if you're watching, you can go to, is this correct? IrresistibleWomanLive.com.
Yes.
And you still have up until the day of the event to sign up?
Yes. And the price is going to be going up. So
Okay.
I would say, if you already know, this is something that I know about a woman who's ready. She doesn't talk herself out of it. And she doesn't actually, hold on a second. I think that link's not working. Let me, now I lost you. I don't know where you are. Here you are. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that here's the link. Okay.
Is that working?
Yeah, that one should work. So,
Okay.
Okay, I lost my train of thought. What was I saying?
Making the commitment, not thinking about it. Saying
the
yes.
women who are ready, they take decisive action. What happens is, when you know that you're ready for something, if you sit around on it, you're gonna allow that voice in your head to talk you out of it, because all you have for reference is what you've done in the past.
Okay.
So then that little voice will start, well, I don't know, I don't have the time, or I don't know, it's 3 days, I'm going to be tired. Those of you who are tired, let me tell you, you're tired because you're in a total state of resistance. When you're in resistance, you're going to feel exhausted. When you don't know how to date, you come back from a date and you're exhausted. It's because you have been putting on a show for 3 hours. So you want to learn how to date just by being yourself and allowing your true nature to show up and attract a man who's attracted to that. Definitely be there. So you just take decisive action. You click on the link, you make the commitment, and then you let the details work out around your commitment. A lot of times we don't do the things that we say we're committed to doing because we try to get all the logistics in place. I promise you, you make a declaration based on a commitment, everything else will fall into place. You will make it happen. Yeah. So I'm inviting everybody to take on that. If you're ready, not only are you ready and saying it, like Kim was saying, like you think it or you say it, no, you actually take an action that matches your level of commitment. And here's something that has been popping into my heart the entire time. If you think it's too late for you, or you've made too many mistakes, or you've tried everything, you haven't tried this. And what if every heartbreak you've experienced up until this moment was your down payment for this weekend? What if this weekend is what you have been waiting for? In 3 months, you could be in the relationship you want to be in. In 6 months, you could be walking down the aisle. We've seen it happen so many times, and not just with any man, and not just because time is running out, but because you know that that you're loved. And so if you're there that weekend, we're going to take care of you. We're going to take care of your hearts. You're going to have an amazing time. It's fun. In addition to doing the deep heart work and the introspection, we have a lot of fun during the Irresistible Woman Live.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're in a trusted space, which I think is important for people to hear. Yes. These are women you can trust. This is a community that you can trust. It's a safe space. I can speak to the fact it's an amazing event. It's definitely worth your time, and I agree. Sign up and work things around it. Because otherwise we're all busy. We all have things going on, and it's easy to say no and think that we don't. So 100%. And I would say to the listeners that tune into this at a later date and they miss the weekend, that Michelle and Gladys have ongoing groups. They have you have free seminars, you have, paid groups, you have your coaching. I mean, you have a lot of other things available. So when we speak to it not being too late to show up for this weekend, we also speak to, if you show up after the weekend or listening to this, it's still not too late. It's never too late to say yes to yourself and the possibilities that await you out there, and the opportunities and the love that you can have for yourself, and be in relationship, not only with you, but with the person of your dreams.
I love that. Yes, we would love to have the women join our community. We actually, let me go ahead and I wasn't planning on this, so just give me a second. I hate pretending like I'm not typing. So I'm typing, ladies.
I'll just be honest. I have a dog barking, so it can't be that bad.
All right, so there's a way that you can get in touch with us as well. You can join our Facebook group. It's called the Heart's Desire Sister Circle. And here's something really special if you do that. What's going to happen is this weekend we're having an event that is going to be broadcast. We're going to be broadcasting it. And if you join that group, you're going to get information on how you can join the event. It's a free event, and it's called the Ultimate Attraction Workshop. And it's for single women who want to know how to create a profile, an online profile that is going to attract a man who is a perfect match for you. So if you join our Heart's Desire Sister Circle Facebook group, you'll go ahead and be able to get information on that.
Amazing. Well, so I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing this. And I want to take this out on expand this a little bit in the world. You know, as we look at the world and we look at all the things that are going on, the disconnection, the uncertainty, you know, the holes, the loneliness that people have been feeling, the heart is the first place we have to start in all of this. It really is. We have to get connected with ourselves again so that we can connect with others, which then creates this community connection, which is what my mission and passion is for, is really finding ways to create the trusted spaces for women to be empowered anytime, anywhere, and working through the phases of that and what does that look like. So we're in phase 1 of that at beathriver.com. So we invite any women that want to come into that community. You know, we talk about in this first phase, it's going to be a lot of what you're already envisioning, but this is a safe, trusted space where we're looking to reconnect women in a bigger way, again, with their hearts, so that we can make a bigger impact in this world. Everything isn't lost. You know, this isn't the end of everything. We get to each individually do our part in loving and being compassionate and connecting arm in arm with others who are willing and wanting to do the same in the world. So we've got that. I've also got a retreat coming up, which I don't think I've even told you this, Michelle. I have a retreat coming up in October here in the heart of America. We call this the Heartland here in the Midwest. It's going to be an incredible retreat. It's a time to relax, restore, rejuvenate, treat yourself to something. We're going to do some amazing things at this retreat. It is a 1-day with the option of an overnight, and you can find the link for that on your screen now. I would say it, but it's super long. We'll also have more information about that coming up this week on the Be a Thriver site. So if you don't happen to grab that, you can grab that there. And wow, this has been awesome. Yeah, I'm so excited that we could take the time to do this together.
I am too. I mean, you're more than a friend. You're like a sister to me. And I'm so honored to be here. I'm so proud of you for everything that you're creating in the world, in your own life and in the world. And I'm just so thrilled that you invited me to be here and be a part of this. And if it made a difference for even just one woman, that is well worth our time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And thank you for those that have tuned in and listened today. If you want to connect further with either Michelle or I, please reach out. Let us know. You can find us both on Facebook. You can find us at our websites. We'd love to have you join us in making this world a better place. Have a wonderful week. You can reach us every week here live on Aging Like a Badass at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Have a great week.
This is Kimberly Price, your 40-something host of Aging Like a Badass. See you every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time on W4WN Radio as we come together to break the rules, ignore the critics, and age like a badass.